As competitive Smash players, we almost always strive to reach a high level of intentional and well thought out play. We analyze VODs, pick apart decisions made by both us and our opponents, and try to understand exactly where failure occurred. And yet one mental block constantly persists in most players that stops them from reaching that coveted level of intentional play. That's right, I'm sure you've read the title of the video. Today I'm here to discuss habits. After playing a set of friendlies, it's not rare to hear one player, whom we will refer to as P1 for future brevity's sake, ask another of higher skill, P2, for advice on exactly what they did wrong. P2, often being observant enough to suss out P1's habits over the course of the games, will reply that they noticed P1 jumping out of shield a lot or rolling out of the corner. Pretty much any habit they noticed or exploited. This, however, poses a problem for P1 because, far too often, P1 is more than aware of the existence of the habits. They know of it, but not how to fix it. This issue is not a problem that plagues only our metaphorical P1, however. It's a problem plaguing many players at almost all skill levels. But there must be a solution, right? Top players have reached that level of play we're aiming to reach, so there must be some method to curbing habits consistently. Well, in order to solve this problem, we need to recontextualize how we view habits. Most players will go into a match and play it until the habit rears its ugly head again. They notice after they've done it and wonder why they decided to do it again. He punished it 4 times. Why in God's name did I think it was a good idea to try it a 5th? This type of thinking establishes what was done, and in fairness does mean the player is self-aware enough to realize they've made a repetitive mistake that needs fixing. But there are 2 primary issues with this common line of logic. Addressing these issues can form the foundation of a system that we can use to curb these habits. The first issue is that this type of thinking fails to account for why the habit is occurring. Often a player only notices a habit because the consequences of doing it are so obvious that it's easy to tell why the play was suboptimal after the fact. But as we should all know, hindsight is 20/20. If our method of recognizing a habit only manifests itself after the habit has shown itself, we'll never be able to avoid the habit at the moment of execution. Instead of looking to the results of the habit, which can only be seen after the habit shows itself, we need to be more aware of our habit before we act on impulse and execute it. Doing this means we need to work to be more aware of the circumstances that lead to the habit itself. If we have a tendency to roll when someone hits our shield, we need to make an effort to remember this when deciding to commit to shield in the first place. If we get punished for jumping off of a platform to relieve pressure, we should attempt to be mindful of this disposition the moment we land on a platform. If we're mindful of the surrounding circumstances that lead to the habit, we can be more than prepared to fight the suboptimal impulses that our mind retreats to when we have no other solution. The second and more commonly known problem with the aforementioned line of logic is that it fails to account for what to do instead of our habit. We might know not to roll here, don't aerial there, don't overextend when my opponent is in the corner. But if these are our thoughts mid-game, we don't have alternative options in mind. Even if we're aware enough of our circumstances that lead to the habit, unless we have an alternative solution to the situation, we're likely to default to our habit anyways. This is part of why theory crafting is so important. If we're constantly theory crafting new ways to deal with the situation where we fall into our habits, we'll never be left wanting for options in any situation. It's just a matter of applying them. These 2 ideas form the foundation of how we eliminate habits in a 2-part system. First, we become mindful of the circumstances that lead to the habit, and then using a replacement behavior, we do something else. If we can do these 2 things, we can finally start to think about our play in situations where habit is the default. Thanks for watching. It's been a long time since I posted, well, anything really lately, so I appreciate everyone watching this video. I don't want to make any promises going forward, but I definitely want to make more content like this in the future. And with that, I will see you all later.